Must-win situation, fantasy football week 5 is here. This video will get you prepared fully to dominate and win week 5 so that you guys get an edge over the competition, aka the Concheapsis in your league. This is the episode. So if you're new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it. I'm going to go through, I'm talking the thumbs up, by the way. I'm going to go through each position here. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and even defenses to give you the optimal starts at each position. Some players to trade for, and of course, the latest news and notes here on the #1 fantasy football podcast. I'm ready to dive in. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys do subscribe. If you're regular or if you're just watching, smash that thumbs up and drop a starts and sits question below. I'll try to get to as many as I possibly can. Also, if you want direct access to me, guys, guaranteed direct access, join the Frontlines, patreon.com/FF Counselor. I've also linked it below. The Frontline community is the #1 fantasy community. Direct access, waiver wire, starts and sits. Q&A. I'm thinking I'm the only analyst answering questions directly. The biggest guy doing it. A lot of these guys, they got these so-called top podcasts. It's all fluff anyway. They don't even get back to you in the comments. I see it right, on YouTube. Listen, I'm going to try to get to as many comments as I can here, so drop a comment below. But if you want direct access, patreon.com/FF Counselor. Guys, week 5 can you believe it? Week 5 is already here. Where does the time go? I mean, it's just like, it was like off season for like the longest time as we're preparing for our drafts. And then here we are already week 5. And man, it's wild. I mean, who would have thought Emari DeMarcado is going to be a top waiver wire and also a top start for this week? It's just been wild. So I'm going to cover all that and we're going to get right to it. So we're going to start the show off. Again, hit the thumbs up before. Just leave a thumbs up for Breaking Brad. He wants one, okay? He really likes your, I don't know, how do I say it? He likes you guys when you guys give him some attention. So drop a thumbs up for Breaking Brad. Breaking Brad, what do you have to say to everybody?
We now have breaking news.
All right, I want to cover a couple things here.
It is with great urgency that we bring you these following messages.
It is greatly urgent. Okay, a couple of things in the latest news and notes here. Bucky Irving is tending to a pair of injuries. Irving officially missed Wednesday's walkthrough due to foot and shoulder injury, so he's going to be out, man. Like, I think he's, like, again, at the time of this recording, he's going to be, I don't see him playing. So Bucky Irving, a guy that I don't have a lot of stock in, and again, I don't know if I'm not psychic. I know that much, right? But one thing is for sure, I'm very intuitive in regards to which players I'm avoiding and that are going down. The only player that I've lost injury, knock on wood, God willing, no more injuries happen, but it's Trey Benson, and he was my RB5, and I can't believe he went down. We're going to talk about him in a second here. But Bucky Irving, I don't know, man. Be careful there. I do want to talk a little bit about Trey Benson, who's officially on IR. Now, talk about a guy who sucks. Okay, this guy was on my show last year. I tell you straight up, I don't care if you're on my show or not, if you're a guest on the show or not, you suck. I'll tell you why you suck. Okay, he banged up his knee last game. You finally, you've been wanting to start you should have started last year. You were a 3rd-round pick. Connor sucks. Like, James Conner shouldn't have been starting. You couldn't take the job from crappy Connor, and then you finally get the chance to start, and then you bang up your knee. Dude, you suck. That shows lack of durability. It shows a lack of, I don't know, man. I don't know what it shows, but it just shows you suck. If you're not on the field, you suck, dude. And this is a guy that I was promoting. Trey Benson finally led the league in broken tackles in college, right? Like, heading into the NFL draft, top prospect out of last year's draft. And then he's a backup to Connor, and then he finally gets the opportunity and craps the bed. He should be ashamed of himself. So DeMarcado, Michael Carter, it's getting really thin and trim there in Arizona, okay? Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, and Brock Purdy. I'll just lump all these guys into one conversation here. Ruled out for tonight's game. Won't play in week 5. So there you go, 49ers. I mean, you know what's funny, though? It's actually, well, it's not funny because you're talking about injuries. I don't care. It's hilarious that CMC is on the field still. And watch, I'm going to jinx it now. CMC is on the field and everybody else is injured. It's weird. It's either CMC's on and, some of the other guys are playing and then everyone else is out. It's a disaster. Like, the 49ers are a terrible team when it comes to injuries, okay? I want to talk about that. Jaden Daniels medically cleared and has been was a full participant in Wednesday's practice. I think he's scheduled to play. Daniels will return from a 2-game absence due to knee sprain and start Sunday's road matchup against the Chargers. Good for him, man. I mean, a lot of people invested high draft capital on him. Good for him. And Joe Flacco is moving up to a backup role. Dylan Gabriel is going to be the starter. He's announced the starter. So congrats to Dylan Gabriel. And he's a rookie 3rd-round pick. He'll take over the top job for Joe Flacco, who moved into the number 2 role, who led the Browns to a 1-3 record through the first 4 games of the season. Moving away from Wacko Flacco, heading into Dylan Gabriel territory. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Tyreek Hill is basically eyeing a 2026 return. His procedures went well. Successful surgery on Tuesday. They repaired a dislocated left knee and multiple torn ligaments. Hill's agent indicates that the receiver's surgery went, quote, very well, according to his doctors, and the return to action at start of 2026 season is considered a realistic goal. He's 31 and will face a tough challenge of work ahead. Listen, I don't think he's going to come back the same, especially the way his speeds were and how fast he was. He's only getting a year older, and he's got to come back from this, and he was already on a decline to begin with, so I'm not projecting anything good out of Tyreek Hill for moving forward in his career. I think he's done. He should retire. All right, let's finish the latest results. Let's get to the optimal starts at each position. Anything else you want to say, Breaking Brat, as we wrap up the breaking news?
We now have breaking news.
He's got nothing new to say, that guy. All right, let's talk about the optimal starts at each position. This is going to help you with starts and sits. Now, this is very easy to follow, this algorithm. Green means good, means go, start worthy based on matchup and matchup only. Meaning, if you've got, let's say, I'll give you an example here, who's green, Jackson Dart, who could be good. Or you've got maybe a Jalen Hurts or someone you drafted with higher draft capital, right? Like Jalen Hurts got like arguably the toughest matchup for his position. He's playing Denver. It's very hard to sit Jalen Hurts. I mean, you invested high draft capital in him. He always does pretty well. And then you've got like a CJ Stroud, for example, right? Relatively easy matchup against the pass. I'm still starting Jalen Hurts. So this is a guideline, a visual guideline for you guys. If you're deciding between this player and that player, maybe you're torn between 2 players. Maybe like, hey man, like I really want to start this guy and I really want to start this guy. And they've both been pretty consistent for me. And I only got room for one in my flex. Who do I start? Well, most part I look at like who gets more volume, but if it's equal, right? If you're splitting hairs, maybe you want to use this as a guideline. Well, I'm going to just start this guy because he's got a better matchup. If you're torn, and then go to your gut feeling if you're torn between 2 players. Okay. So that gives you kind of the idea. And if they're red, tough matchup. All right. Optimal matchup. So you're in the car. I'm going to go through it. All right. Justin Fields, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Jackson Dart, Justin Herbert, Sam Darnold, Jared Goff versus Cincy. Great matchup. Dak Prescott versus the Jets. Drake May versus Buffalo. Rattler, who's been pretty consistent. Nothing exciting, but pretty consistent. Decent matchup. And Geno Smith, good matchup. These are the good matchups versus position. Understand there are 4 teams on bye week, including one of my teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Packers are another team on bye. Check your local listings on that. Make sure your team is not on bye, and you guys will be okay, all right? So now I'm in a league where you're able to go to the waiver wire on Wednesdays and get it on Thursday morning or something like that, and then Saturday night for the Sunday morning. So make sure if you got a kicker on bye, if you've got a player on bye week, a defense on bye, make sure you guys attend to that, okay? You don't want to start, miss waiver wire and not get a defense start, okay? Let's talk about the guys that have it in tough. Jalen Hurts, tough matchup versus position. Dylan Gabriel, he's getting a start, but he's got it in tough versus Minnesota. Tua Tagovailoa versus Carolina. You think it's an easy matchup, but it's a little bit tougher been this year versus the past. Stafford, Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, Kyler Murray, and J.J. McCarthy. Relatively tough matchups for position. If I didn't mention them, guys like Josh Allen, Daniel Jones, Bo Nix, all mid-range matchups versus position. Obviously, Cam Ward, mid-range, but you're not going to start a Cam Ward. Start somebody better, okay? Anchor your team with an ace quarterback, start him. So those are your quarterbacks at each position. Let's move on to the running backs, all right? This is a tricky position, all right? very tricky because there's been a lot of injuries. Same with wide receiver. Wide receiver's been no cakewalk, but when I say tricky, like there's some weird names starting, like Woody Marks. All right, like he was the guy I was telling you to stash on your teams, but look, he's got a great matchup against Baltimore's rush defense, and he's coming off a decent week, and he's potentially starting. That's great for Woody Marks. Congratulations. I would say start him, man. Like it's so thin and trim. Now, here's the thing. I told you about David Montgomery and avoiding him, right? I talked about this. I screamed at the top of my lung before the season. Do not draft David Montgomery. He had 1 point last week. Jahmyr Gibbs is absolutely taken over, and that's what we want. We want Jahmyr Gibbs to be the guy. And yet, David Montgomery's still getting his share of volume, which sucks. Now, let me know in the comments. I want to know, did you guys draft David Montgomery? How are you feeling about Gibbs if you drafted him? Let me know. I still think Montgomery's a pest, but I'm glad he was hindered to 1 point last week. Now, DeMarcado and Michael Carter, this is interesting here. They've actually got a good matchup. I ended up picking up DeMarcado on a bunch of my teams because Benson went down and I want to plug in a flex play. So DeMarcado here, I mean, great matchup versus Tennessee. He's a must start. Like, and this is his chance to shine. I mean, come on. DeMarcado, like that's where we've gotten right now that DeMarcado is starting. This is where we're at, man. And, good for him. Good for him, honestly. Alvin Kamara, good matchup. And again, Breece Hall. We've got Braylon Allen down. And a lot of people are like, man, maybe I should get Isaiah Davis, but we're not sure about Isaiah Davis's usage. I'm not sure about Isaiah Davis's usage. You're not sure about Isaiah Davis's usage. I don't know if I'm starting Isaiah. I'm not starting Isaiah Davis if you guys picked him up off waiver wire. And I could be wrong, but I mean, you're coming in now and it's like Breece is still the guy, contract year. A good opportunity for Breece to shine. Hopefully they don't go committee because that was what they were saying the entire offseason is that they're going to go committee. Allen's down, so I hope Breece Hall gets his work. All right, Scatabo didn't have the greatest week last week. I thought he would have done better. Good matchup versus Saints. ATN, good matchup here. And Bashal Tootin, he's getting a little bit of work, but not too much. J.K. Dobbins still leading the pack. This is an annoying situation because I'm all in on Harvey. Harvey should be the starter, drafted with high draft capital, not only in fantasy, but reality. And J.K. Dobbins was on free agency in the offseason, and then he came in and pested away that starting job. Dobbins sucks. Like, I know he rushed over 100 yards last game, but if you give Harvey the job, it'll be like one of those situations where Harvey just absolutely takes off, similar to what Hampton is doing there, in the Chargers territory. Najee's down, and he's absolutely taken off. That's what I want with Harvey. That's what I want with these players. Yet there's pests like J.K. Dobbins, who shouldn't be in the NFL, should not be playing, was injury prone his entire career, taking away precious volume from RJ Harvey. It's annoying. Like, go away, Dobbins. Like, it's so annoying. So it is what it is. Tony Pollard, good matchup down there. Maybe a return of Tajay Spears. Watch that. Again, another committee situation, but it's just a terrible offense, but he does a good matchup. Achane, Ollie Gordon did not get the work last week. Hopefully he gets more work if you're an Ollie Gordon owner. But Achane staying healthy, surprisingly. I don't know how long that'll last, but good matchup here. Another annoying situation here with committee is Travion Henderson, Stevenson, and Gibson. Man, like I said, if, Henderson should be a 3-down back, period. And then Stevenson shouldn't even be playing. And then they started Stevenson, and then he fumbled 2 weeks ago, and they still give him work. That's what blows my mind. And then Gibson also fumbled, and they still give him work. Henderson should be a 3-down back, but I read a report that it's going to be a committee continuing on. It's disgusting. Typical Patriots, annoying stuff, okay? And now we're getting into the mid-range matchup here. Like Judkins, obviously got to start him. Henry, you got to start him mid-range. And Hampton, absolute mid-range matchup versus Washington. Absolute must start, okay? Guys that have it in tough, you got to start CMC, but he does have it in tough. Isaac Garendo, again, people drafted him thinking he's going to be a guy, just did not do anything there. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is also stuck in a committee here with Rodriguez and company. Now, Merritt was a little banged up last week. Maybe he's going to get more work, but he does have it in tough versus the Chargers, so be cautious there. I still do see him getting a touchdown. Kyron Williams, I got to start him, but 6th hardest matchup versus San Fran. Blake Corum getting more work than I thought this year. Sucks. Jonathan Taylor, 7th hardest matchup versus position, but you got to start him. Pacheco sucks. I think Rashard Smith, they're saying he's going to get more work, but he's been absolutely sucking Pacheco. Like, he had a decent week last week. I think he got a touchdown or something like that, but been absolute garbage. Like, if you got a better option, go for it. He's got a tough matchup, okay? And then, Genty, coming off that hot week, does have the 9th hardest matchup for his position, but you got to start Genty. You don't sit Genty. He's a workhorse running back, okay? And Bucky Irving, if he's banged up. Sean Tucker, Rashad White, good options. Probably Rashad White gets the edge there. But yeah, I don't know if, I don't think he's going to be starting is Bucky. But 11th hardest matchup versus position. Those are your running backs. If your running back is consistent, start him. Like, it's not brain surgery, guys. It's not that complicated. Like, if he's a workhorse running back, Genty, Hampton, start him, regardless of how tough the matchup is, okay? Wide receiver, let's go through the optimal matchup. Garrett Wilson, great matchup. Jets versus Dallas, great matchup versus position. Olave, great matchup versus position. Check it out here, guys. You can freeze frame this, okay? All right, let's see here. We got Jacoby Myers, right? It's a wide receiver by committee, all right? I would honestly be cautious here. All these wide receivers is wide receiver roulette. Now, some people went crazy and drafted or acquired Trey Tucker off the waiver wire. And I'm like, dude, he sucks. Okay. And I got Thornton in all my leagues. I'm thinking of dropping him unless an injury happens to Myers or Tucker. Again, people are like, well, Joe, you told us Dante Thornton. Thornton is the best wide receiver on the squad. And I got him with literally my last pick. He was like a stash, right? Like, so if he busts, I don't lose anything. My stash doesn't come through. But regardless, it's wide receiver roulette, sucks. All right, Nico Collins, a must start here. Great matchup. Michael Pittman, these guys all suck, but great matchup if you got Pittman. Marvin Harrison, he's kind of came alive a little bit now, finally. Easy matchup versus Tennessee. He should really shine this week. And here we go. Ladd McConkey, if you guys drafted him, you guys are donkeys. Like, I told you, don't draft Ladd McConkey. Like, I screamed this at the top of my lungs, but people continue to draft Ladd McConkey. Listen, very simple. If you draft Ladd McConkey this year, if you draft him, you're a donkey. And I scream this on every podcast. And guess who the wide receiver one is? Quentin Johnson. So I was half right because I thought Trey Harris would have taken that job. But Keenan Allen came in last minute, just like Dobbins came in last minute as a running back with the Broncos, which sucks. But regardless, it's like Quentin Johnson is the one now. A guy that I believed in his rookie year couldn't catch, somehow miraculously learned how to catch. And Ladd McConkey was a waste of a 2nd round pick. And I told you that. Last year, great value, 9th round, 7th to 9th round was where he was coming off. And this year, entirely new situation. He busted. If you drafted McConkey, you are a donkey. You deserve to lose. And I kept screaming it, but every mainstream analyst told you draft McConkey because he finished on top last year as a top 10, 11 receiver. Very stupid move, okay? So anyway, they got good matches versus position. All right. Now, Keon Coleman was a 9th round, 8th round pick for me. Ice cold. I mean, Shakir was the guy that shined last week, but maybe Keon has a bounce back week and a good matchup. I may start him as a flex, assuming he's, he hasn't had a good week for a while, since like week 1. He's due. So hopefully they feed him. And it's just an annoying, I got Josh Allen. So regardless on who catches the ball, I don't care. I'm still happy, but I am annoyed that Keon is not being targeted as much as he should. I mean, a couple weeks ago, they targeted 9 different receivers. It's a disaster. All right, Pickens is a must start here, obviously with CeeDee Lamb gone, and then Turpin and Tolbert is a bit of a crapshoot. Turpin a little banged up, check injury designation. Wanda, Robinson, and Slayton, I think, are good starts. Obviously, with Malik Neighbors being out in a relatively good matchup versus the Saints, I would go ahead and start Wandale. I would go ahead and consider starting Slayton. Good matchup. Again, depending on if you don't have a better option, okay? And then those are the easy matchups, okay? Tougher matchups, Judy. A lot of people high on Isaiah Bond as a potential breakout, really shining this year. Maybe, but again, we got a quarterback that's a rookie coming in, Dylan Gabriel. I don't know about that situation. It's suspect to say the least, but Judy, tough matchup versus Minnesota. Emeka, tough matchup, but that shouldn't affect him. He's still going to continue to perform. You got to start Emeka. 2nd hardest matchup versus position. Same with Puka. 3rd hardest matchup versus position versus San Fran. You can't sit Puka Nacua, right? You just can't do it. You got to start him, all right? What else we got here? Deebo Samuel, tough matchup, but if you got him, you got to start him. Terry McLaurin, what a letdown he's been. AJ Brown and Smith, I mean, how do you trust these guys? Like, 5th hardest matchup versus Denver, but how do you trust AJ Brown? Like, this is why I say, like, if I am going to get wide receivers, I'm going to get them later and load up top-heavy running backs. And that running back position, man, oh man, do people want running backs? And, like, you look at these wide receivers, just total inconsistency from Jamar Chase to AJ Brown, complete inconsistency. Like, I feel more comfortable starting Malik Washington from Miami versus Carolina this week. Why? because, Tyreek's gone and, I didn't spend anything to get Malik, and maybe he's going to be more consistent. Like, we don't know. Like, it's crazy, okay? But Jackson Smith, you got to start him. Tough matchup versus position regardless versus Tampa. Brian Thomas, again, another guy has been kind of busting. Parker Washington, 8th hardest matchup versus position. But hey, if you're desperate, Parker Washington could be a start. Travis Hunter, a complete bust so far. Not good. We got Baltimore receivers for Zay Flowers, tough matchup versus position. And you can see here Leggett and other guys, all tough matchup versus position. Diggs as well. Those are your tough matchups. Feel free to freeze frame and take a look. But obviously, Emeka, Judy, all these guys, Puka must starts. Okay, Debo must start. All right, those are your wide receivers. Moving on to the tight ends here, and then we'll get to defense for you and get you out of here. Okay, so Evan Ingram, tough matchup here. Hunter Henry, tough matchup. But again, Hunter, relatively consistent. You got to start him, right? Tyler Warren, 5th hardest matchup for position. Absolute must start regardless. Doesn't matter. Mark Andrews, tough matchup. Dallas Goedert, he's a little banged up. Check that out. Trey McBride, all these guys that you got to start. Njoku, tough matchups, but you're not going to sit these guys with tight end, regardless of matchup. If you got a consistent tight end, you start that tight end, okay? Kate Auden, tough matchup versus, easy. Now we're going to easy matchup. Easy matchup. Kate Auden, Jatavian Sanders, check out his injury designation. Oronde Gaddiston, who's kind of heating up, but still a lot of targets to feed there. An injury to Keenan Allen would be crucial to get these guys inflated. Darren Waller, if you pick them up off waiver wire, could be very viable as a red zone target, especially with Tyreek Hill going down. Must start, right? Just check his injury, but he should be good to go. Noah Fant's been consistent, a little bit banged up. Dalton Kincaid, good matchup. Sam Laporta, good matchup. Man, has he kind of gone down after his rookie year, right? Like, you got to follow the trends. Jake Ferguson, good matchup versus the Jets. And then you got like Schultz and guys like that here. Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson's going to get an uptick as well. If you're interested in a tight end, you want to pick up some guy off waiver wire going into week 5, Theo Johnson. I mean, there you go. A guy that's going to get an uptick in targets, potentially with Malik being gone as well. Okay. Those are your tight ends and some defenses to start here that have it in good versus position. I do love Detroit versus Cincy. If you can get them. The Cardinals versus Tennessee. Great matchup the way the Tennessee Titans have been playing, unless they somehow have a miraculous week. Vikings versus Cleveland, Browns versus Minnie, Colts versus Vegas, a decent matchup as well. Dolphins versus Carolina, Cowboys versus Jets, Rams, a great matchup versus San Fran. They're all banged up. Why not start the Rams? Buffalo versus New England, and the Giants versus the Saints. And all these, honestly, the algorithm has really kicked in on this program. All of these matchups are making sense. Like, all good matchups versus position. If you're looking at a stream of defense, I ended up picking up Arizona and the Rams and on a couple leagues because I have Pittsburgh as my defense, and I needed a couple defenses to cover my bye. All right, so those are your defenses for position. All right, so Fantasy Football Week 5 is here. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. I'll try to get to as many as I can. And, but I will get to you guys. I will get to you guys in the Patreon group, guaranteed. Patreon.com/FFcounselor if you want guaranteed. If you want me to save your season, this is the place to be. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Smash it, tap it, slap it, and we'll talk soon, guys. Have yourself a great day.